Welcome back to a new video. As everyone's aware, it's the time of Inktober or whatever challenge that you're doing. I've done this every year since I think it was 2016. It's been a long time. So I thought I'd try to record a couple of these. It was my intention in the beginning to actually record all of Inktober, and that's just not gonna happen for me because I won't be here for a week through October, and there's no way I could keep up with that. So yeah, I'm just gonna record some here and there, and hopefully you enjoy what I can show you. So this one's the third day. This is my necromancer character. I like him quite a bit, and I'm pretty sure I've drawn him every year since I first thought him up. He's got a whole story, and you've probably seen drawings of him on the channel before because I do draw him whenever I get the chance. Same with Rust and Nash and whatever. I have a lot of characters. I really wanted to try to somehow mash in a way to do some designs for mine and my sister's small business because we have a little online shop. I really wanted to mash that in with Inktober somehow, and I'm sure I won't be able to do that with every drawing because I can't see someone wanting this on anything. But yeah, I'm going to try to make a couple of them some sort of design because I think that would make use of the time. Give a little double whammy, not a double. So yeah. This one I sketched it on the paper and I didn't have it quite where I wanted it, which was annoying me, and I couldn't leave it, so I decided I'd just use my light box, which thankfully I have, and I would just sketch it over on the paper, and then I would be able to shift it as I needed when I transferred it back over. It was a little convoluted, but we got there in the end. So there it is, I transferred it back over, skipped the other part because I didn't record it. So there it is. And then we can start inking. I love to ink. I have loved inking forever. Back in the day, I didn't really ink. I didn't really think of it as a thing because I mainly drew in pencil. It was the cheapest thing, and back in the day, these microns were actually a little harder to come by. They weren't in the regular stores that I went to, namely Walmart. And yeah, so they were harder to get your hands on, definitely had to order them in. And nowadays I can find them pretty much anywhere I go. And so pretty much the only place that I had inked anything was either in notebooks with a pen or digitally, which I didn't do that long ago. I think I was like 18 when I started doing digital stuff. And I had a really old tablet. I'm trying to remember the brand. I think I still have it in the old stylus. But yeah, that was the original, and back then I was working on a comic that no one really saw. I had, I think, a couple pages that I'd done, and I had planned out a bunch of the story. Everything is still written on it to this day. It still has all the dialogue pages, the scene stuff, the overview, file, everything, which I make for pretty much all of the stories that I would really like to make into comics someday. So that one back in the day was my character Phage, and I still draw her. Actually, I drew her I think right after this one because her and the necromancer character and even Rust have some similarities in their design. Just that stylized thing. I actually have an entire notebook that I don't know where it is. I think it's on my finished shelf that is elsewhere. And it has where I was trying to figure out her design in a way that I could draw it consistently, which still wasn't that consistent because, again, this was a while ago. I had planned her story way before I got a tablet. And all of the designs are just on paper, and in pencil. So yeah, I worked really hard trying to figure out a style for that. I really wanted something with a lot of edges, and it was a very important story to me. It still is, and I actually think it has some potential, but it would be long. I think I estimated it to be 200 or more pages. I guess I shouldn't really say just a comic, it would be nearly graphic novel sized, but yeah, I didn't finish it. Well, I couldn't because my computer could not handle it. This was way back when I had, what, Manga Studio 3? Debut? I don't remember. It was a long time ago. And one of the similarities between this bro and her is this little voodoo doll type thing. I have weirdly drawn these for years and years and years with like the same weird hair, the button eyes, stitched mouth, that kind of thing. Had a huge obsession with it. She walked around with one of those. They had names. I'm not going to say the names, but they had names. And there was a reason that they existed. I say they because there was also a shrunken head that she carried around with her and pretended was like a bag charm, but he's not. And a lot of similarities between this guy and the necromancer from her story. Man, it makes me really want to draw pages. I really miss doing comic pages. I'm sure everyone's tired of hearing it. But man, I actually thought I was going to be completely finished with work now. We had gone to our mowing job, and I thought that was going to be the last time or the second to last time. No, ladies and gentlemen. Our boss was pretty much like, how about maybe 4 more times? So I still can't 100% devote my time to any sort of art stuff, which is a little sad. I thought the season would be over. I mean, I need the money. I really shouldn't complain too much. But it's been a bit of a rough few years, and I'm just tired, man. I'm actually kind of struggling with Inktober this year, if I'm being totally honest. I love Inktober, and I'm always happy to do it, but getting myself to sit down and draw and be happy with what I've made and not panic over the sketches it's been really rough. Actually, the very first one I did, which if people haven't seen it, is a scarecrow that I had been planning to draw for a long time as a business design. Really wanted a scarecrow with this like really rad scythe that had teeth and an eye and stuff like that. But yeah, it was taking forever to make it, and I just ended up giving in and drawing it for that first page because I had so many ideas. I spent all day trying to find something to draw. I couldn't do it. I was so unsuccessful, and it took me forever, and I was very frustrated. We did get there in the end, and I don't totally hate it, so. But yeah, a lot of struggling, and I'm sure it's all mental, but it doesn't feel like a block. I don't really get blocks in that way. I just end up having a really hard time dealing with my patience and dealing with my... It's not necessarily perfectionism in the sense that it's more this expectation for it to turn out a specific way and to give me a specific feeling. And I think I'm just putting that on myself because I've spent so long working and forgotten how the like general step-by-step process tends to go and make me feel, and that like there's like an amount of trust that you have to put into it. I mean, everyone says trust the process or whatever, and they're not entirely wrong, but I think having some sort of faith in it, knowing that your ability is enough and it will actually turn out decently if you just hang in there. And yeah, I just I didn't have that, and I was imagining such grand scenes which I couldn't create, and trying to think of simple things, because like I said, I'm not going to be here, so I need something that I can create consistently and quickly enough that I'm not falling behind while I'm gone, because I've gone on vacations and things when it was Inktober, and still managed to do all of the pages and keep up and be on track, but struggling with that idea this year because I'm not doing a very good job, and it's very frustrating. And I'm also trying to keep up with videos and with work that I wasn't supposed to have, and doctor's appointments, and it's been a lot. It's been a lot. Then I have to deal with myself, which is probably the worst part, because I am occasionally quite hard on myself in what I expect to see, and I would like to aspire to a certain quality whenever I make things, especially when it comes to Inktober. I don't get the opportunity to draw traditional things like this all the time, and it's definitely something you have to practice. It's a skill that has to be given a lot of time and attention, and I haven't been able to do that, not for months, so it's a little disheartening sometimes. And I think the reason for that is that my expectations become way bigger when I no longer recognize my limits and the time things are going to take me like I do before, when I've kind of become in tune with myself and what I can do. So it's a little rough, but it's also, that's not me saying that I don't enjoy it, that I'm not having fun drawing, that, you know, I don't like some of these pictures or whatever. It's honestly just that I'm stressed out of my mind about 352 other things, and it makes me so impatient about what I'm doing in the moment. And that in itself, that rushing around, really, really messes me up. I'm sure plenty of people have felt this way, and you'll understand. But yeah, you just start rushing, and realizing that through the rushing, you're getting nothing done. So, yeah. Anyway, to pull away from that, because I'm sure the topic's exhausted and no one wants to hear about it anymore, I'm just using my markers. I'm using mostly the Ohuhu Cool Grays right this minute, and a couple neutral tones, I believe. I'm using 2, 3, 5, and 7. And for my warm grays, I'm using one Ohuhu WG090, so a 9. And my Blick markers, I only have those in warm gray, and that is a 10%, a 30%, and a 50%. So, yep, I'm just using a mixture of those. I'm using microns, I'm using the acrylic Sharpie brush markers, and what else? My Prismacolor pencil that is white. Oh yeah, and my brown Prismacolor Coal Erase, which is getting very small and stubby, and I need to find one of my longer ones that I can still see on that paper. I'm not really worried about getting out of the lines, so I was gonna be doing a black background, so I wasn't too worried right there. So if you see it, it's not me just being sloppy. Well, it is me being sloppy, but it's for a reason. It's because it's gonna get covered up. I'm always drawing him absolutely abusing these poor little voodoo dolls, and they don't do that much. They just, yeah, they're just little channeling guys. But I always make it a theme where they have something that he does, and so you can kind of associate it with him, like, pulling himself apart. So gnarly, but yeah, essentially that, because he's got some rough stuff going on internally. So if you don't know this character, you Could probably look back at my old Inktobers. I'm kind of thinking about rescanning the last Inktober book and then scanning this one when I'm finished and just putting it on my Gumroad so people can leisurely look at it. But I should have my sketchbook tore up from last year, and you'll see, I'm pretty sure the first day was him poking pins in one of these things, and it's making a bunch of pins show up around him, and the little thing is himself. So he's causing himself his own problems, and while that's not 100% true in the moment that I was drawing it for, it was very true for him. So, yep, and I have one where he's sitting in a coffin. I'm trying to remember which day that is. He's missing a couple fingers, and there's a bunch of the voodoo dolls just sitting all around him. I think there's candles, and one where he's holding his head. I think that was the last day. He's holding his head in front of himself. Oh, yeah. It's a constant theme with him. And he has this scar, this Y scar that this little voodoo doll has, and that's why it's there. You just can't see it. And then I decided, because you know there's like always this theme where you're drawing eyes around the character, looking at them, and that's pretty heavy for me too. It's something that I do a lot. Maybe everyone just feels a little too, what is it? Conspicuous. And I thought I'd mix that up and just make it like all of these voodoo dolls were looking at him and what he was doing. And it would just take ripping this little guy for them to come out of the dark. Yeah, I wanted it to be kind of creepy and threatening, I guess. So, and when it comes to him, it is like that. It has to be so careful about making mistakes, very specific mistakes. He's constantly being scrutinized by so many different people, which eventually plays to his advantage in the story, but starts out kind of garbage. So I put that acrylic around there because it hadn't been bleeding with my markers, and I figured that I'd probably go over the top after putting the black in and recognize that a bunch of the contrast I'd built up wasn't great. So yeah, then I just used the marker where I definitely wasn't going to be touching it with any other markers. That's why there's a bit of a change in the black, but I didn't want to use up that entire black because I don't have another one, another acrylic one. So yeah, and then I went ahead and did the stripes on his shirt, which I'd been waiting to do this whole time, but I knew I should put that acrylic in first and cut out anything that didn't need the extra ink. I really like doing these, but it takes so much build up when you're using the markers. I have an easier time doing ink wash, and I really wanted to do that this year and just use my yellow sketchbook for all of my Inktober's. But again, because I'm going to be going away, I can't travel with that stuff. And actually one time I went to the airport and I had some of my water brushes and I forgot to dump the water out of them. And this lady was being super rude about it, and I was just like, I'll just dump them out. Like, it's no big deal. It's just water. And I'll put them with the other stuff. No big deal. You can scan them. I don't care. But she would not stop just like saying the same thing over and over and over again. Like I was somehow dumb and could not figure out what she was saying. And it really got on my nerves. So now every single time I have to go to the airport, which already gives me a lot of stress and anxiety because I don't like going there, I just worry about what I'm taking with me. So I didn't want to complicate it with that. I even thought of just taking an completely empty water brush and some watercolor, but it doesn't sit well on that paper, so I would have had to rethink my paper 100 times over. And then I thought, screw it, I'm just going to use what I used last year. No one can fight me about it, not even myself. It's going to kind of suck because I can't really take my ink with me, my refills, so if they run out, I'm seriously going to have to come back and actually finish those pages with ink. And I've been really horrible about posting my Inktovers this year. I keep forgetting, I don't know. I usually put them on this file that I have on Procreate so that I can, you know, get the sizing right and you can see the whole picture. And it has my signature on it, my cleaver. And I just keep forgetting to post them, so I'm sorry for anyone who's actually keeping track of them. I am horrible. I don't get like a whole lot of traffic on Instagram, but not really much of an excuse because I have some long time people that always comment and they're always kind and they never forget to like, and I really, really appreciate them. So yeah, this is the finished picture. Well, the little roll of it. We'll see some still ones in a minute, but some detail shots, I suppose. Poor little guy. I just had to do some sort of, like, slight underlighting. I love underlighting. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I know it's a bit yammery, but I'm just hanging in there. I hope everyone else is too. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day or night, and bye.